Good morning, everybody. It's Val and Nancy again, and we're here for knitting this morning. And if you received our newsletter yesterday, you saw our Shibuya Yarns online. And so I wanted to talk about the Shibuya Yarn. It's a new yarn, although it was new, unfortunately, because of COVID. None of you probably have seen it that much because it's silk tweed cloud. So if you're familiar with Shibuya cloud, it's a silk mohair blend. Well, this tweed adds a nub. So it's silk, 65% silk, 35% kid mohair. And what that extra silk does is it really makes it a luxurious yarn. I know a lot of people think that mohair is itchy. It kind of takes away some of that itch factor of it and that flyaway. You get 190 yards. It is $23 a hank, a skein, I should say. But look at which are up online. I really love it. And I wanted to show Christy had made the demi-lune, I keep wanting to call it Dune Shawl, which if you see is a very long shawl in this. And I believe it took 4 skeins. You can also do this in silk cloud, and it would take 2. But it's just a really beautiful, it's very airy. Paula made the crochet, and I'm sorry, the pattern is by Dear Online.
Sorry everyone for the reconnect issues, I'm not sure what's going on.
The crocheted Mobius cowl was made by Paula, so it does have a twist in it. Again, it's just a beautiful cowl. And this is 1 skein, so which is great. So whether you do crochet or knitting, because this is the crocheted Mobius cowl, I'm going to teach you in knitting a Mobius cast on, and I'll explain that in a minute. Which is probably one of my favorites, is Pebble. And Pebble is a light fingering. It's very airy. It's just luscious. All the beautiful colors that we have. 24 yards for $19. It feels great. It is 48% recycled silk, 36 fine merino, and 16% cashmere. Now the scarf we have here that Val is showing is called Les Miserables. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's a felted pattern. So if you notice, we did felt this. Now Pebble will not felt like 100% wool because it does have silk, and it's 48% silk. So it's a light felt with it. We also have, it's called the Sleeveless Pullover. This is made by Christy, Sleeveless Slipover. It is the cropped version, and it is Pebble up online shortly. And I keep seeing the connection. I know we're part of Bend Broadband, and they're having issues today. So I hope you all are seeing this because of that. So today I wanted to talk about someone who I've spoken to on the phone. I've never really met. We've had emailed back and forth. Kat Bordy. And for those who don't know her, she's an amazing knitter. And last week she posted a letter to everybody, and you can go to her website at Kat Bordy, and Bordy is spelled B-O-R-D-H-I, and Kat, C-A-T. And she put a letter out to everybody that she is passing away. And she's asked people that know her or have taken classes from her to please email and write her letters that she'll read, but that she feels her children, her daughter, will take comfort in later, at a later date. But she has distributed now a pattern, and it's the Rio Colina Cowl. And this is now a free pattern. And last week I showed Ultra Wool, and before that wool stock. This takes, it's a large rectangle, and it's the way you fold it over that gives you this look. And it's done in a worsted weight yarn. So I wanted to tell you all this because it kind of hit me. It's not COVID. She's not telling you what's up, but just passing information along. And with that in mind, I was going to have a class this fall of Kat Bordy's Mobius cast on, and she has a cowl available on Ravelry, and we were getting that pattern from her. And instead, because I'm not teaching that class now, I decided today, because I was showing you the crocheted Mobius cowl, and I wanted to bring up Kat, I would show you Kat's Mobius cast on. Now, what is a true Mobius? And if I pull and hold this up, a Mobius has a twist in it. So a lot of you, if you're making a sweater and you cast on 300 stitches and it says join in the round, and you join in the round, and the next thing you know, you have an outside inside that will never come apart, and you have to start all over. That in its essence is a Mobius. But an actual Mobius cast on, as is with this, is you start in the middle and you're working out. So it works really well with a long gradient yarn, which we have some that I'm going to ask to get up online. It's in a cotton, and they're huge 800-yard balls of yarn. And before we're done today, I'll show you that, because what it would mean is you're starting in the middle, and because you're going around and you're doing both sides at the same time, you're working inside out. So if you start with a teal or a dark color and it's going through yellows and creams and ending in a turquoise, it's going to be uniformed going all the way out. So it's very cool. So again, I'm using my favorite book, Cast On, Bind Off. This is Kat Bordy's Mobius cast on. It looks harder than it is, but it is very, very easy. So here we go, and I'll leave this open. So when you're doing that, you do need a larger cord. This is a 40-inch. A 32-inch would do a small cowl, but depending on how many stitches you want, because this is how you will be knitting. Okay, so it's doubled back on itself. So here we go. You are going to start with any yarn, a slip knot, roughly 5-6 inches up, enough to weave in. When you tighten it, tighten on the needle, but you are slipping it onto the cord about 6 or 7 inches up. I am then going to reach under, take the other side. This is the left-hand side of the needle, and I'm going to hold the cord and the needle in my right hand. And while I'm doing that, just to start, I am going to pinch that slip knot so I can't lose it. Now, like that. Notice how my needle's hanging loose. I am going to take and wrap that up and over my index finger. It's coming over the top. And if you look down at these pictures, it's why I love this book. It shows you what you are doing. So here's the slip knot, side of the needle down, and I'm going to hold this up. And it has a very good explanation. So, holding that slip knot, I am going to take my needle, come under the cord, over the yarn, and pull it up and under. Let's do that again. I'm beginning. I am taking the needle under my cord, over my working yarn, and I'm scooping that yarn up and to the front. Now I'm going to lean over and scoop the yarn on top of the cord. I'm going to use my index finger to help hold those stitches, because now repeat. Under the cord, scoop the yarn up, over the cord, scoop the yarn over. Under the cord, scoop the yarn, over the cord, scoop the yarn. So can you see, let me do a few more. Over, scoop. So it's a two-step process. Under, scoop, over, scoop. And if I lie this flat, can you see that I have now binding on here, and I am binding on my cord. Does everybody see that? So again, under, scoop, over, scoop. Under, scoop, over, scoop. And on the pattern, it will tell you cast on so many stitches. And you count only one side of those stitches.
So the whole movement that you're making casts on two, but you only
I'm
count
counting one right now. Okay? And you'll know, and the hardest thing here is you can't stop and put this down. So, because it will start to undo. But it's a really easy rhythm once you start going. And if you notice, I'm actually going to fill most of this up. And then your pattern will tell you whatever pattern you use, because then you would start knitting from this top needle. And what you'll see is you'll come through the top and you're going to curl it around, and these will be attached as well on the bottom. So you're kind of knitting in a figure eight without ever knowing that you're knitting in a figure eight. You do have to put a beginning marker, because think about it, if you count 150, you really have 300 stitches, because you're doing double sides.
So when you knit that, you're going to end up knitting all of them?
You knit all of these stitches
At once. So you're not going to be then picking, because you said before you're a true Mobius, you work from the center out.
This
so
is now the center, because if I start knitting, if I do plain stockinette, just straight knitting, from that center, half is going to look knit and the other half is going to be purl.
Okay.
Because you're working from this center out. So whatever pattern it is, if it's a lace pattern, plain stockinette, which I suggest trying plain stockinette just so you see what you're doing. Because you will have a difference, and you'll have a set line, just like Paula has this center line here. And it's hard on crochet to see how, because it kind of although it's backwards, and let me see if you can, well, if we kind of look, these stripes are going here, and these are coming back down this way, the opposite way.
Okay.
Because you're knitting it, or crocheting it, excuse me, from this center out.
Okay.
Any questions? Well, call me if you do, because it's really fun. It's a fun cast on. I hope you like it. I do. I've done a few projects with it. Of course, I couldn't find my samples. But please go on to Cat40's website. Again, if you go on to Ravelry, that pattern is free, and it's a really nice pattern. It does ask for a smooth yarn, such as Ultra Alpaca, which would look beautiful. And when I'm done with the pitch sweater, maybe we'll do this as a knit along, maybe even at the same time, so that you all can play with Ultra Alpaca, even if you're not doing the pitch sweater. We're still working on how we're going to do the pitch for those who are far away, because I have some people from Virginia, hello, and Wisconsin, I think someone signed up. So I look forward to starting that in a couple of weeks. With that, any questions, give us a call here at the store, and I hope everyone stays well and safe and have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.